I hadn't really even thought about film at all as a prospect, a career prospect. I moved to Cardiff when I was 16 and started having singing lessons, and that's where I thought, oh, maybe I could have a career in musical theatre. But it wasn't until I actually won a scholarship and went to college that I realized I could actually do that for a living. And I was very happy once I graduated and was doing theatre. And I think there were points in the first 10 years of my musical theatre career where I wanted to be seen for maybe a TV series or a soap or a commercial, but never film. Film was like in a different place. That wasn't for me. So the fact that it did happen is still very bizarre to me that it happened at 30 years old, after I'd had a 10-year career. I didn't know anything about film acting. I hadn't really done, I didn't go to RADA, I didn't go to a drama college, I went to a musical theatre college, so I'd learned my acting from, through music and all the other stuff. So I had to basically just watch and learn very, very quickly. The first thing I realized was that nobody talks loud, nobody's projecting anything, and in fact, most of the time, some of the scenes I did with Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes, I couldn't even hear most of what they said, which was really bizarre. And then realizing they were mic'd up, and that they could speak very naturally, and I learned that one very quickly. So that reduced my performance level to a very different place. But it was terrifying. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was absolutely bricking it. That first day I was on set with Liam Neeson and, in Mount Olympus, dressed in, 24-karat gold-plated armor made for me with long hair. I mean, crazy. Yeah. And that was my first experience of being on a film set. I mean, I think I'm in the film for like 12 minutes altogether. But it was an important moment because it was a big movie. It was with Warner Brothers, and just to start a film career with something like that on your CV really helped open more doors, But one of the first things I ever learned for a character was in Tamara Drew, which was actually the first year I did. So I started the year with Clash of the Titans and I finished it with Tamara Drew. And the character was a sort of a handyman, farmer sort of kind of person, and he had to build a hazel fence. A hazel fence doesn't have any nails, it's just chamfered edged pieces of hazel wedged into upright posts. So I went down to Dorset about a month before we started shooting and worked with hazel fence makers to work it out, because actually the scene in the film, which thankfully is in the film after all that preparation, is happening while I'm building a hazel fence. So I just wanted to become second nature. So that was sort of like the first time I tried something that benefited massively when I actually did it on camera. And then there's other things, that you have to dig very deep if it's a character that, has gone through something very traumatic maybe, or is doing something that you not necessarily would do yourself, or that the character thinks very differently to you. You have to somehow find the humanity in what they're doing, and the reality of what they're doing is the most important thing, because as long as you believe it, then the audience will believe it, whether you are killing a dragon or, chewing somebody's neck. The average feature of a studio-sized film takes about 3 months, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So we were in Budapest for 7 months. So that was the biggest sort of difference, is staying within a character and his journey for basically what was 10 hours, which is, five movies, back to back. So that was an interesting thing. But it was actually a very nice thing, and I enjoyed it because you get to develop your character. And when you start living with a character for so long, you do start, thinking like them, and you become sort of their guardian in a way, so that when the new director and the new scripts come in, you have to talk about it, because it's like, well, I don't think John would say that. Actually, I know John wouldn't say that, and I know John wouldn't be seen there, or I know he wouldn't be drinking this, or I know he wouldn't, interact with that person in that way. I think he would do this. And it was quite nice because there's a respect from the directors and the creative team, because, Daniel, Dakota and myself put a lot of work into preparing for those characters. And, they're very complex people. They all have their dark sides and carrying their baggage. And my character, more than all of the rest, with his vices and addictions and all that stuff. So there was a lot to think about, which I loved. I loved every minute of it. And it is nice to do something for a long period, because you get to develop the character. And also, 2 hours is not really, it sounds like a long time, but it's actually not that long. So 10 hours to live in a character's journey was very nice, very enjoyable. There's a lot of exciting things bubbling away. And, there's a lot of very interesting stories, interesting people. But I can't talk to you about them because they're all in development right now. One I'm producing, which I absolutely can't talk about. Another one which I'm in talks about playing. It's a true story. And another true story as well. One's crime, one's just a brilliant story, and the other one is something I've always dreamed of playing that character, and to be able to, produce it as well and be part of the whole development, which is what I've been doing with a Welsh writer in Los Angeles, which we've been sort of working with us on the script for nearly 12 months now. And it probably has another 12 months to go. It's taken almost 10 years for me to actually get around to actually being considered, or these ideas came up that I thought about. But yeah, they're happening, and I feel like I'm probably going to have a very Welsh few years coming up, which is great. I'm very proud of Wales and my home, and the people that I've looked up to as a child, who've done very well for themselves in whatever career or industry they are in. So, yeah.